Hello, welcome back to another video. Today I'll be going over, kind of a summertime activity you can do personally in your own free time, which I call a summertime dissertation. So what is this? What is the dissertation to begin with? Dissertation is something you do to get your master's degree, and you formulate an idea, and then you create a research question on that idea, and you try to answer that question sufficiently enough. So what is the summertime dissertation? It's a personal self-study tool that you can use in your own personal academic life, so you're able to have your own study outside of school or university. So the purpose of this is that you yourself can gain better insights into research, and also so you can know more on topics that you're personally interested on. So the way I go about it is first to formulate an area of study that I want to focus on. So let's say, for example, philosophy. You can go as broad or as narrow into philosophy, in my case, as you want. And then from there, you want to make a question that you want to answer about this field or particular thinker or field within philosophy. For example, I've decided I want to see the differences and similarities between the epistemologies of St. Augustine and Plato. I want to see in what way does Augustine borrow from Plato, but in what ways also does he reject and change ideas from Plato. And the third way you can move about within this summertime dissertation, is by choosing books and articles to read. So these are the two books I'm going to read, also Meno by Plato, and also some bits and pieces of Augustine from his other much larger works like the City of God or the Confessions. And I'll use these and I'll take notes on them. So while I'm reading these books, I'll take notes, extensive notes. You want to create your own table of contents in the front of the book so you can understand the book like the back of your palm or your hand. And then from there, you want to start writing your own essay. So what's the purpose of a dissertation? To create a new original piece of research. So that is best explained and shown through a thesis or a essay. The essay can be as short or as long as you want. It's your own personal research that you're doing yourself. So I'm going to try to aim for like 6 to 10 pages. I want to see how they developed in their thought and also how they differ. And I'll focus more so on Augustine than on Plato. I'll show how Augustine borrows from Plato, but also how he rejects certain aspects of Plato. And then finally, you want to revise. You want to go over it, you want to read it, you want to see if what you were saying or what claims you were making in the search answering this question are actually true. You don't want to blindlessly go out and try to make a question. You want to look at other people's thoughts on this topic. That's why you want to read scholarly articles and other people's essay on similar or the same topic, as well as wanting to see if your own prior thoughts were wrong. So yeah, I feel like it's a good study tool and a good habit anyone can pick up on. So I've seen other people talk about similar ideas like personal curriculum, but I feel like that's lacking because just reading is still a form of consumption. You're not creating anything new. So by formalizing it and making it have a certain end goal that you want to achieve, really makes it a much better idea for self-education and also for retaining the knowledge that you are trying to gain by, by actually going hands-on and creating your own ideas about certain topics. And essays are a very good way to explain ideas because you have to take the ideas you have in your head and use specific words, specific diction and syntax and format and the way you want to get across your ideas. So that's that part of the video. Now I'll go over books I've recently gotten. This one's poetry, but then it's also like an explanation of poetry. It's St. John of Cross's Dark Night of the Soul. He was a Carmelite monk, and he wrote this as an explanation of one of his most famous poems, The Dark Night of the Soul. In a similar vein, T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland and Other Poems. T.S. Eliot was a 20th century poet, and he is heavily influenced by Christianity. He's a Christian writer, so I want to understand and read his work, and I really I want to get more into poetry and fiction rather than all the non-fiction philosophy I'm reading. In response to that, St. Jerome's Early Years. This is a biography of St. Jerome's early years, when he became a monk, when he went to Syria and that area. Yeah. And then more heavy, The Christian Philosophy of St. Augustine by Etienne Gilson. He is one of the primary Catholic thinkers of the 20th century, especially when it comes to Aquinas and Augustine. He also responds to Kant, but this is specifically on St. Augustine. I've read a pretty good amount of Augustine, but I want to get broad scholarly overview outside of Augustine himself of Augustine's thoughts and how they go together. Because I've been reading bits and pieces of Augustine. I've read The City of God, I've read his Confessions, I've read On Grace and Free Will. Well, yes, it is very good. I still haven't fully grasped all of Augustine's ideas and how they relate to each other. Neoplatonism, this is from Hackett. And this is just a text, well, not textbooks, but an overview. These next two work together as a pair because they're both on the same topic, but different aspects of the topic. The first one I will probably read will be Neoplatonism by R.T. Wallace. It is an introduction into Neoplatonism. It goes over its main thinkers and then the influence they have on later thought. Neoplatonism was how Platonism developed after the Plotinus, who was the main Neoplatonic philosopher, who took the ideas of Plato and systematized them. He's kind of a systematizer of the non-written down works of Plato, that Platonic tradition that existed within Middle Platonism and early Platonism, but it reached its apex in Neoplatonism, which had a very interesting cosmology, which mainly was influenced by Timaeus and Critias by Plato, which I also just got. And I also got Neoplatonic Philosophy Introductory Readings, I guess. And this goes over Plotinus, it goes over Porphyry, it goes over Iamblichus, it goes over Proclus, who were the four main Neoplatonic philosophers. Neoplatonism had a heavy influence on the Cappadocian fathers of Christianity, of Augustine, of the Sufis, and all like kind of mysticism. And just a lot of philosophy has its roots in Neoplatonism. Same with the Renaissance. Renaissance humanism has its roots in Neoplatonism because the Neoplatonists believe we all have a divine spark within us. So humanism took that to its logical conclusion, and that's where Renaissance humanism came from. Similar to that, I got Orpheus and the Roots of Platonism. So I want to go over how pagan religion and mystery cults influenced Plato and his philosophy. So that is what that book is about. And then the last two books I got, one, Walden and Civil Obedience by Henry David Thoreau. He wrote this while he was at the Pond Walden. He lived there for 2 years, 2 months, and 2 days. And he argues that every man, if they want to reach not enlightenment in like a Buddhist sense, but if they want to like become a better individual, they should go into isolation, into nature. And then I got The Crisis of Liberalism, The Origin and Destiny of Freedom by Michael R.J. Bonner. I've already own one of his books, and I'm going to read it as a pair, In Defense of Civilization. And this book is about the theological and philosophical roots of liberalism. And he is a Canadian, so I want to see a Canadian's idea and conception of it, as I am Canadian myself. Thank you for watching this video. Like, subscribe, and spread this everywhere. Thank you.